Yeah, we were quite happy with how last weekend ended with a win in Portland, which is on its own very difficult to do. And then to wrap up the Supporters Shield on top of that makes it all the more special for us. But the celebrations were short lived, as they are a lot of times in this business. The week has been good. We prepared the guys for this game. Everybody's in good health, everybody is on board, so we have a full roster, which is great. And we would love to end this season at home with a victory and a good performance. That those two elements are extremely important moving into the playoffs. So this game is and performance is very very important to us.
It's obviously performance results always come first, but having wrapped things up and now knowing that you'll MLS Cup will run through Bank California Stadium, is it an opportunity to try different things, or what is the mindset in that regard?
Yes and no. I think some things we have an opportunity in some areas to try things, but for the most part, we would love to stay on rhythm. That's all I can give you. That's all I can give you.
So then, from that perspective, the game in Portland was a little stretched at times. It came down. I feel your mentality and the way that the guys really picked themselves up was really what made the difference. But I've talked to you many times, and you've said there's certain things that I want to see from my team every week, and my job is to maximize those things. So, what would you like to see in this Nashville game because you want to see it in the playoffs?
Yeah, I think what we didn't particularly like in the Portland game is once we did go up 1-0 in the second half, Portland had a pretty too long of a phase where they were in our half and we were defending a little too deep. We couldn't get enough pressure on the ball. We really couldn't get out of our own half very often. And I know the necessity wasn't there, but things go quickly in this game, and all of a sudden it was there, and we very nearly ran out of time. So I would love for us to, in these type of games, these pressure games where something's on the line, and that would involve playoff games as well, to really play our way for 90 minutes, regardless of the scoreline. And I think if we can do that, then we'll find ourselves in a great position.
There's a lot of things that go into that, being able to push your lines up, obviously tactical, technical,
Mm-hmm.
but in your mind, was that ultimately then just a mental thing that the guys stepped back a little bit?
Sure, I think it was the moment. I think it was the second to last game of the season, and we knew going into the game, if you win, the Shield is yours. You also know you have an opportunity the following week, and so all of those things factor into maybe those 20 minutes where we were psychologically in a more defensive position. But those factors will not be in play during playoffs. You have to finish the result to move on, and we have proven we can do that. And I look forward to that mentality and that mindset already against Nashville.
So, Steve, I'm going to ask you to zoom away from the pitch for just a second, walk you through 3 key moments this year with you and the supporters. That very first one where you kind of addressed those guys, you were in the stands at the bank, some of the key supporters talking about what they expected out of the season, and of course the U.S. Cup knockout, some of the silence that went on at the beginning of the following match, and then of course you guys climb up into the stands with players, with the owners, with some of the staff after the game in Portland, and you guys take this photo together, this beautiful photo. What were you reflecting on in that moment with your connection personally as a first-year coach with the supporters? And then did any of those other key moments kind of cross your mind over the season?
Sure, but I think what I said after it's a home game. I believe it was San Jose after the U.S. Open Cup match where we were knocked out. I believe I said we're better together, and I guess that is I truly mean it. And that is kind of what goes through my head the entire time. I said, what a fantastic fan group, amazing fans. They make us better. We can make them better. And we can make the same goes for the organization. We can make each other all better, everybody better, if we work together and move towards the same direction. And that's what's always going through my head. How can we manage to get everybody in the same page and moving in the same direction? Because if we can, we're very difficult to beat.
And for those of us who weren't up in Portland when you guys were all up there with him, what did that moment feel like? What did it feel like for the players? Like, it's kind of unusual to come up in the stands with the supporters and take a photo like that. What did that get?
Yeah, spontaneous. It just nobody planned it. It just felt right. It felt good. Um, I know it's maybe not the adjective you're looking for, but
Did you feel like you were together? Maybe.
absolutely, yes. We felt together, and like what I said before, we are better together. I think that is maybe an example of that. You're welcome. Thank you for taking me away from the field.
Yeah. I think we'll go back to the field with questions on Zoom.
Okay.
Crystal, take it away.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Jose Lopez.
Thank you so much, Crystal. Hi, Steve. Good afternoon. League's Cup was announced yesterday. I would like to know your thoughts about it. On one side, you have the opportunity to compete with Liga MX teams, but on the other, there's going to be more games in a calendar that is already pretty heavy with so many games. So what do you think about this tournament?
A great opportunity. We all love competition, and we love competing at the highest level and being challenged. So in those regards, and we all respect Liga MX very much, and so it's a great opportunity and a challenge. We're looking forward to it. There are more games, which also poses a challenge. Maybe the solution. If you're going to add more games to the schedule, then I think the logical solution is to add more players to your roster. But as far as I know, our roster rules and regulations have not changed. And so I think if you're adding games to the schedule, you're also going to add injuries, which is not, it is not in our favor for MLS clubs. So I would love to see moving forward, if we do continue to add games to our schedule, maybe we can add more players to the roster or change the rules to make it to give us MLS teams a better chance to compete at the highest level week in and week out.
Thank you. And speaking of injuries, anyone on the injury list? I don't know if Franco's available already.
No, Franco's on board.
Next question from Josh Gross.
Hey, thank you. Steve, sorry if you addressed this and I missed it. But just the fact that you guys clinched the Supporter Shield and like your first chance, really, you went up to Portland, won a game is hard enough to do. Knowing you do that, clinches, and you don't have to worry about it this week. Just a practical effect of that on what that means for you leading into decision day. Could you talk about that, please?
I'm not afraid it changes a whole lot. What it did drastically change is, maybe the atmosphere in training this week is naturally a little more relaxed than it would have been if it wasn't one in Portland. But it won't change our mindset during the game, and it will not have very much effect on our lineup.
And just in terms of, knowing that you could seal the deal in the first opportunity, what does that say about this team? And obviously with the postseason coming up and the expectation is, one and done, does you feel that translates into further sort of suggesting to you that this is a team that will win the championship, is set up to do that?
Nobody knows that. There are a lot of things that factor into winning MLS Cup. There's good fortune, there's good health. You have to maintain the men in black have to be on our side as well, and not our players. I'm referring to the referees, and maybe the ones who sit in front of the TV screens as well. We've all come to know have become very important. So a lot of factors play into that. I have no idea who's going to win the MLS Cup. We love that we can play at home the rest of the way if we're allowed to play for the Cup, and we know that we're pretty good at home. But there's so many factors, like I said, so I don't know. We'll leave it at that.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Last question from Max Bretos.
Thank you, Crystal. Steve, I know when you went through the losing streak and you started to work on things to get you back into a good vein of form, the belief in momentum, especially regaining it after the international break, how much do you put into that where it's retraining the right ideas and getting into that, and where LAFC are now? And also a brief thought on just the final regular season day, decision day, how you view it league-wide. Is it the right way to do it, the way MLS does it?
I'm not sure my opinion matters, Max. It's the way it is, so we will enjoy it and do it. I can tell you from my experiences in Germany, the last two games of the season are scheduled in that manner. where all teams play at the same time. In our league, it's within your conference, which is fine due to the time change as well. But I think the last 2 matches of the season makes a lot of sense, and having midweek games lead up to the last game, in my opinion, doesn't make sense because of what happened last weekend in Portland. So decision day oftentimes is on the second to last day of the year and not always the last day. I love the idea of decision days, and I think they're implemented well. So we're looking forward to it. For us, it's a game at home. We want to win, and not a whole lot of deciding going on for us. A little bit for Nashville, but not so much for us.
We got a final question, Scott.
Well, final questions, I should say. I got a couple for you. First off, as you say, the playoffs are a crapshoot. It's sometimes who's the hottest team coming in. It's who gets an advantage early in games. It's a different season, and it's nothing like the earlier seasons. Is the Supporters' Shield as meaningful as MLS Cup?
Every title is meaningful to me. We put on jerseys, we approach a competition to win it, and any competition you can win has the same meaning to me personally, because you have accomplished, or you were better than everybody else in that competition, and so that is an accomplishment in itself. So they all mean something to me.
It's we live in a culture where playoffs have decided, in every sport that we have, playoffs are what matter. You talk to players in the league and they say, it's great to win the Shield, but the Cup is what people remember. Should the Shield be considered as great an accomplishment as the Cup within the culture?
My personal opinion, I can't form an opinion for everybody. I've told you, to me, they all mean the same. An equal amount. What everybody else thinks and believes is out of my hands, Scott. Sorry.
After the win in Portland, you made reference to being able to accomplish it in Portland with Clive's name up on the table. I covered Clive quite a bit in his last 5 years. One of the things that always struck me about watching Clive coach was that he put a team, unlike anywhere else in college soccer, he put a team on the field. They played the first half, they got together and talked. He made a couple of substitutions, not constant substituting, and he left the decision-making on the field to the players. I think that the players that I've covered that have come out of Portland that have gone into coaching, oftentimes in contrast to players coming from elsewhere, tend to be very smart players, very decisive in their thinking because they were taught how to think there. I'm just wondering, in what ways did that Portland experience impact you and who you became as a coach? Because in talking to your players, they say one of the great things that they like about playing for this particular LAFC team is that they are given the ability to do that on the field.
I think your observations are correct and on point. I learned a lot in the 18 months I was able to play at Portland, not just on the field but off the field, how to conduct yourself as a young man and in a professional environment. And then obviously on the field, Clive and his assistants were very influential. And sometimes how I saw the game, I was the opinion I should have always got the ball. And Clive quickly pointed out to me, every run you make is not always to get the ball. And that kind of gets the thinking going. There's also 10 other players in the field. And so, very influential in the way I see and think the game. And also how I manage this team, absolutely. He's been a big part of my influence in my career.
It just seems that Portland is a very good, at least when Clive was coach, it was just a very good school for future coaches.
I can speak for myself. It helped prepare my path and my career. When I went on a visit to Portland as a senior in high school, I knew instantly this is where I was going to end up because it felt right and it felt like an organization that was a family. That was a learning culture, and also professional at the same time. And academics were okay too.